Hello, welcome once again to the turret of pleasure here in the enchanted kingdom of Hermione. And once again, I'm your host, the Lord Chamberlain of the Enchanted Kingdom, Zip Gun. I haven't made many videos lately, I haven't had a lot to talk about, but I got some thrift stories, a few here, a few good thrift stories. So I'll do those. Some are more interesting than others to people. I don't get a lot of interest in the classical, so I'll go through that stuff fast. But I found some good classical. I found Elizabeth Schwarzkopf doing the four last songs. This is as good as these pieces get. And I'm keeping the price tag because if you look carefully, what does it say? I think it's 15 bucks or 20. Sorry, 15 pounds 49. I don't know when that was, but that was a while ago. And yeah, that's a lot of money. And probably is worth it. Found Monteverdi, Vespers, which is great. I found a weird list piece. I'm not sure if this is going to be worth it. I'm not up on Fran's list, and I'm trying to learn more. But it's a 3 CD by Jerome Rose on Voxbox, which I kind of hate Voxbox, but they're way better than I'm a snob. That's their packaging that bugs me. I found a double CD of Eric Korngold's music, which you don't find in the thrift store every day, and a Sophie von Otter doing the singing and a bunch of like-minded Swedish people playing with her. That looks really good. I found Charles Ives, Michael Tilson Thomas on CBS. This is really good. Thomas really liked Ives and Ruggles, and I really like Thomas's conducting. I still think my favorite Rite of Spring is by him, and the Boston. Found some Handel done by Christopher Hogfat with the Handel and Haydn Society, which is not the Academy of Ancient Music. It's on Loiselier. Of course I'm going to buy it. Yeah. Now I got some gold mark, not corn gold. Don't know why I got these mixed up. Goldmark is another guy you never run into. The Rustic Wedding Symphony on ASV, the Royal Phil, sure. And then, believe it or not, I found another Goldmark. And this is on, what is this on? HK, Hong Kong Records Company Limited, with smaller thing under it, Marco Polo, which of course means it's basically early Naxos. And early Naxos did some great work in classical music in the good old days. Here's another great thing I found. The entire Rusalka by Dvorak, which is not easy to find, on Superfound, done by Czechs. That's the way I want it. I already know I like that. I found a Mercury Living Presence, Janos Starker, one of the great cellists of all time. Read his book. His book is amazing. It's really something, if you can find it. And this was just sort of somewhere for a quarter. And I thought, Lenny, Aaron Copland, match made in heaven. How can it not be good? So that's the classical. Get it out of the way. All good stuff. And then some of this stuff, this is from a variety of places. Now, the Empress went to the UK to visit family and watch the sun come up in some druid sites and such like. And even though I told her, don't worry about buying CDs for me because it's tough to bring back, she did bring me back a few. And they were kind of interesting because I said, don't spend money. And, well, she sort of not really spent money, but this was at a thrift store. Now, this Singles Going Steady on CD was maybe the 10th CD I bought way back in the day. It was an AAD CD. It had the album on it. I was delighted because anybody who grew up with vinyl copies of that record knows that the second side is 27 minutes long. It's a punk rock record. It sounds like ass. On CD, it was like suddenly the whole second half of the second side sounded great. Now, that's the earliest possible digital version. This comes with 4 additional singles, including their last 3, which are amongst my very favorite Buzzcocks music. And I think the one in the middle is from different kind of tension. At any rate, it's instead of 8 singles, you get 12 singles. It sounds like it sounds. It's not hi-fi by any stretch of the imagination. I was really glad to get it. I'm going to pass along my old version to somebody else. But yeah, great. She also found me this and the previous one, Pink Fairies. Now, Pink Fairies is, of course, Mr. Paul Rudolph, who's a buddy. Lives here in Victoria. And we go out for lunch occasionally, and he's beavering away in his home studio doing stuff even today. Anyway, these were amongst his finest moments, you might say. This was the second, I believe, record they did for Polydor. First one was Never Neverland, and that featured the notorious Twink on drums, and I think he was kind of trying to maybe take the band over. Anyway, that didn't work. This is post-Twink. I haven't heard it yet. I've heard this a million years ago. But that was great to get, and it's kind of hard to find around here. And then she found this in a charity shop, as they call them there. Now, I don't really know much about the Dwarves, other than their live shows are memorable. And this looks like really early stuff. And, I think it was £1, so that's great. So those were and she also brought me back a 3-CD Ian Dury best of, which actually she kind of wants more than me. Although it's got everything, it's got all but one song I would want. But it's a lousy package. The annotation's lousy. It was cheap. But, that's how it is nowadays. For stuff that made it slightly big, the packaging gets turned into dog shit. But it's everywhere and it's cheap. Okay, this is just now a variety of stuff I found in a variety of thrift stores. This one, now this, boy. My bullshit detector went off pretty hard when I saw this. Airborne, genuine fist-pumping, sweat-soaked rock and roll. Ooh, boy. Song title, Stand Up for Rock and Roll. Now, I think this was $25. And I went, you know what, it's on Roadrunner, another red flag for me. Roadrunner, Airborne, And for whatever reason, it almost looked too over the top for me. So for $25, I'm going to buy this. I got a feeling about this. Now, every review I read said it was actually pretty good, very much in the mold of AC/DC, and by God, they're right. The surprising thing is I actually kind of didn't mind it at all. And I think I'm going to throw this in the car for further study, because I'll bet in the car it's great. Now, this is a CD like a million other CDs, made by a local guy. This guy used to play in front of the liquor store in Oak Bay. And my connection to this CD is A, he recorded it at my late dear friend Bill Crapell's recordist's workshop. Bill doesn't get hardly any mention on this, although I do believe he put it all together. And my own personal connection here, all vocals, instruments, and arrangements by Vic Alexander. I do believe he writes all the songs. And it's good old type, sort of country folk. But apparently my bass guitar was laying around the studio because I'd lent it to Bill for a client who needed a bass. And it ended up getting all over this record, so I had to buy it to listen to it. That's the story. Here, 2 CD, this is interesting. 2 CD set of Chet Atkins, done in, I think it's Britain, and it's one of these things where I sometimes have to wonder about these companies, because clearly they figure putting out entire albums of Chet Atkins from 1951-52 is a worthy cause, and they've done the good deed by adding 8 bonus tracks to 2 albums that were their extent, both of which, of course, by 1951-52 standards, they're probably pretty short. I'm going to guess they're just about half an hour. So you get essentially 3 albums here. They kind of mention in the notes what albums it is, but the packaging is just kind of, that's better than I thought. In 3 dimensions is there. Fingerstyle guitar is there. Okay, good. It's not super clear. with things like this, and I'm sure there's legal reasons, I would have loved to have had a picture of the original covers. That would be nice. It would be nice to know, if they do know, who plays on them. Having said all that, this is actually delightful music. Chet Atkins, one of those guys. Yeah, there's a short sleeve note. Nothing really. There wasn't a lot of effort put into this by whomever. What's the label again? Not something. Anyway, $1. The $1 for 3 Chet Atkins records. Not now music. So I get the joke. And that I found this at the same thrift store. Now, okay, these are 5-star. If you like Count Basie, I'm having a Basie kind of week. It's weird because I found some LN Basie. I found a MSP Basie. Then I found this. Now this is all the records he made for Decca early in his career. I haven't listened to much of this, but every review you read of this is 5 stars, absolutely seminal, etc., etc. So it's in the car, it's waiting to go. This looked interesting. I think it was $2, so I bought it anyway. Herbie Hancock, Gershwin's World. And Gershwin's World is, this is cool. Joni Mitchell's on it. It's a little bit of everything that Herbie likes. James Carter, Chick Corea, Kenny Garrett, Eddie Henderson's on it. That's neat. The Orpheus Chamber Orchestra, Wayne Shorter, Stevie Wonder, and others. In theory, I don't like these records because they're just, I don't know. It's the famous person gets together and shows off with famous friends. Herbie's way too good a musician for that. And it's actually a really interesting record. It doesn't have a whole lot to do. Like, I didn't hear a lot of Gershwin coming out of it. So it seems that Gershwin was kind of the starting point for these people to work together. And whatever, it sounds good. It was worth buying. Herbie Hancock, can't make a bad record. Haven't listened to this yet. This got lousy reviews. On GNP Crescendo, which is a weird little label out of LA. They used to do people like Queen Ida. But it's on Creative World Records, done through so I don't know. Anyway, Live and Let Die. 2002 Zarathustra Revisited, which I'm sure is based on the Deodato. Love Theme from The Godfather. This is about 1975. Stan Kenton. You've got to be a bit of a Kenton freak, I think, to want this. If I remember right, it was $25. I thought, oh, what the hell. And this, too, was $25. Now, I might even have this. No quarter for $25. There you go. But I figured, I remember hearing this somewhere, and I liked it. And if I don't have it, I probably should, because I don't dislike Led Zeppelin at all. Quite like them. Don't listen to them a lot anymore, because, I've heard a lot. And this is great. So I went to this one came from the Salvation Army down by the McDonald's on Cedar Hill. Usually not a great Salvation Army. It's always full of crap. And it was full of crap once again, except for this. Now, this is I don't know what I would call these, but I really dig it when I go into a thrift store and put in a reasonable amount of effort and come up with absolutely nothing until the very end, and then you pop something like this up. Now, I thought I already had this. This is, what's it called again? Vresto by the Ruins. If you don't know the Ruins, look them up. 2-piece band. They sing in a language of their own devising. The drummer is the sort of catalyst guy. He's gone through 5 bass players. They're completely techno-spaz, prog rock, sort of fast. I don't know. It's hard to describe. You love them or you hate them. I love them. I've got now, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is number 6 CDs for me. And some of the earlier recordings are almost unlistenable because the recordings are so crude. This one's slightly better. They signed with Shimmy Disc, did some good recordings. They also signed with Sadik, John Zorn's label. And they actually did a record with Derek Bailey called Derek and the Ruins, where they completely free improvise with Derek Bailey, which is really cool because they do not free improvise. Everything they do is scripted out. All right, then finally, and then there's this. And I don't know. I'm getting sick of these guys. But this looked like a good record. It was $1. I I got another one of their later records that has their song, what's it called? All My Friends Are Dead. I like that song. That's fun. And this is more of the same. Again, in the car, what's not to like? Groovy. Finally, to sum up, I'm on a bit of a, I said I was on a bassy kick, and I've also been on a little bit of a Sinatra kick. Well, what do you know? So then I find this in the thrift store, which of course is Sinatra with bassy. And then I also found, and I've got this on LP, now this is okay. It's sleepy, it's not very long. It's sublime. The reverb is gigantic, cavernous, you know. Sonny Burke produced it. It's real, it's the end of the really old school Sinatra. But it's good, it's very high quality. Sinatra sings well. Duke and his band play, you know, there's not really a lot of fire in this, but they're all getting on, and it's a good record. This is curious. It was originally a double album, and it's so funny because when I first saw this, I just bought it. Count Basie, Frank, sure, I'll buy that. But then I sort of noticed a few weird things, and with Frank, you know, Frank is a funny study. This is, I do believe, the original CD issue. Does it actually say the date anywhere on it? No. It just says originally released 66, produced by Sonny Burke again. And it's got the name of the song. It's got under the name of the song, it's got the writing credit. Sure, it's got the time. 1, 2, 3, 4. That features Shadow of Your Smile. 11. Then you get down to 9. And 9 on the outside just says Frank Sinatra monologue. No time. You know what that means, you say? Or at least I say. Come down here and look on the disc. Frank Sinatra monologue. Interesting. What the hell is in here? Number 9, Frank Sinatra monologue. Now somewhere it's called the tea break. Almost nowhere is there a time attached to it, but the time is 11 minutes, and it's basically Sinatra doing stand-up. And there's a thing about this, it's not very funny, but everybody's laughing because, you know, Sinatra's at his peak here. It's creepy. It's really, it's actually kind of embarrassingly bad to the legacy of Sinatra as a singer and whatnot. I was spellbound going through this. I've looked it up on Discogs. They really try to just underscore that it's there. It takes up most of, I think it's side 2. So I don't know how you hide it. But, you know, they hit Gunga Din. Don't forget, if anybody knows how to hear the Gunga Din single, please message me and let me know, because a more suppressed song I have not run into in my life. And it was supposed to be his next single. And Mo Austin, to his everlasting credit, talked him out of it. Finally, and this is really cool. Now, I could have bought these as box sets on record years ago for a lot of money, and I wasn't really motivated. But now I'm finding them in thrift stores. In the, 70s? Norman Granz started reissuing Art Tatum recordings, and he did a box of solo performances that I was an ace away from buying and never did. And then it just, you know, then it came out on CD, but, you know, it's expensive. And I didn't think I would listen to it enough to warrant spending $100 on a box. However, now I'm finding these little, and then they did a box of group masterpieces. And these are 2 of those. We've got Volume 1 and Volume 4. Volume 1 is Art Tatum, Benny Carter, who I don't know a damn thing about, other than he was a classical sax player, and Louis Bellson, who's a great drummer. Again, boy, you know, it's good. And Benny Carter is a great sax player. I've heard some of this in the car. And then there's this one, Art Tatum, Lionel Hampton, and Buddy Rich. And I haven't heard any of this yet. It's in the car, but it hasn't come around yet. How can this be bad? I mean, recorded when? 50... Hold it. Ah, man, the light. Oh, 55, that one. 54, that one. So, again, I'll buy these any day of the week. So, there you go. It's not a bad haul. I just made room. Somewhere fell into my lap After the Rain, the soft sounds of Eric Satie, which is a terrible thing, But it's all Pascal Roger, and it's all really good. So I'm going to give it to somebody. I don't know who wants it, but everybody likes Eric Satie. Oh, and then there's, yeah. And there's other stuff that I don't know what to do with it. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe, because I'm getting close to the magic 500 number. I'm not sure what happens then, but apparently it's a magical number. And if I start getting responses from the YouTube world, maybe I'll make more of these. I'll actually have a reason to make them, other than my own pleasure in communicating with people that have like similar tastes to mine. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll get back to you with more stuff later. Take it easy and look after each other.